rebuild our industrial base and bring back those beautiful words, made in the USA. And we were doing that 4 years ago and starting to do really well. And then we had to stop for an unknown reason. All of a sudden she comes out and she says the same thing, exactly the same words that I used.
Okay, former President Trump in York, Pennsylvania, keeping an eye on that speech.
When you've lost Fox News, you know it's pretty bad.
So, Britt, knowing that and knowing in this setup, Trump is the challenger, why is he not doing better?
Because he's Trump.
Damn!
I mean, the truth of the matter is...
And the show is over. Britt has dropped the mic.
I mean, when you get down to it, the past 8 to 10 years have been about Donald Trump. Everything's been about Donald Trump.
Everyone was better off when you had a gentleman named President Donald J. Trump at the helm. Does anybody know him? Whoever he may be.
You think about the reality. She is saying to the American voter, I'm with you. I think a lot of these big corporations have huge profits, and I'm going to stand with you against price gouging. I'm going to stand with you in terms of child care tax credits. That's a message more than an economic policy. So you can attack the proposal and its minutia, but I think the message to the voters is pretty effective.
It wasn't exactly a weekend to remember for the Republican nominee for president while he was struggling to fill seats, and the seats that were filled were soon empty before he'd finished rambling.
But I say that I am much better looking than her. I think I'm...
I think this party is not going to heal until Donald, I mean, this is the most misogynist ticket we've ever had. It's not just Donald Trump. You have J.D. Vance with the attacks on childless cat ladies and postmenopausal grandmas, you know, just offending everybody, you know, now.
Meanwhile, Democratic VP nominee Tim Walz was showing great coach energy as he had to apologize to the overflow crowd that couldn't get into the venue because they were over capacity.
Look, we're positive, but I think we all know Donald Trump sees the world a little differently. You think he would understand the importance of Carhenge as a historical relic? The British made a replica of it out of stone. It's so important. So just so we know. Or do you think he would know the joy of tubing and swimming the Niobrara as we do in the summer? Well, it sure ain't for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that. This guy is the opposite of everything here. Every opportunity he has, he weakens our country to strengthen his own hand.
And to top off Donnie's misery was this rare Fox News segment, a panel in which, dare I say, common sense was brought up more than once, as they discussed why Donald Trump continues to do so poorly in the polls despite having many more months of campaigning under his belt compared to Vice President Harris. Senior political analyst Britt Hume said just 3 words in response.
Battleground states who are energized, moving towards the Democratic column. Now, I am a student of history, Fred. I love to look at history. I like to put things in historical perspective. So let's do that here in these Great Lake battleground states. I want you to look again. It's Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. 2024, we're looking at those New York Times Siena College polls. And then just look back at the exit polls from 2020 and 2016. Look at the women margin. Look at this. Look at the margin that the Democrats are getting among women voters. Back in 2016, when Hillary Clinton was the Democratic nominee, it was 11 points. You jump forward to 2020, look at that, a 13-point margin. Look at how well Kamala Harris, though, is doing among women voters. My goodness gracious, a 17-point margin, considerably better than Hillary Clinton did 8 years ago, and even better than Joe Biden did just 4 years ago.
So you heard me talking with Senator Vance there. Where they are in the polls. He says they've got the message, they're going to win. Here's another Fox News poll we have out this week. How do you feel about how things are going in the country? 65% say they're dissatisfied. So, Britt, knowing that and knowing in this setup, Trump is the challenger, why is he not doing better?
Because he's Trump. I mean, the truth of the matter is...
And the show is over. Britt has dropped the mic.
I mean, when you get down to it, the past 8 to 10 years have been about Donald Trump. Everything's been about Donald Trump. I don't think that the Democrats would have let Joe Biden get as far as he did if the party hadn't been confident that the Republicans were going to nominate Donald Trump again, which the Republicans did. The fact that Biden was doing even as well as he did until the very end is testament to the fact that Donald Trump, he has a very hard, solid base of support, but it never gets above about 40 to 45%, maybe a little more at best.
You think about the reality. She is saying to the American voter, I'm with you. I think a lot of these big corporations have huge profits, and I'm going to stand with you against price gouging. I'm going to stand with you in terms of child care tax credits. That's a message more than an economic policy. So you can attack the proposal and its minutia, but I think the message to the voters is pretty effective.
This comes after a segment aired earlier in the day in which a Fox host praised the Biden-Harris administration for taking on Big Pharma and capping the cost of prescription drugs.
I do need to give the vice president credit and the administration credit for the negotiation on pharma and drug prices. They have had success on big specific medications and bringing those prices down in negotiations that you heard from President Biden just yesterday. She tapped into that as well.
All of a sudden she comes out and she says the same thing, exactly the same words that I used.
Former President Trump in York, Pennsylvania, keeping an eye on that speech on the economy.
If you're wondering, how did Donald Trump handle all of this? Well, you know him, right? He's level-headed, calm under pressure. Not like he was out here sharing AI pictures of Swifties for Trump in a desperate attempt to have the world's biggest star that despises him, by the way, and has said it on record, to notice him.
Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that. I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And if he doesn't win, then at least I try.
I mean, it's so obvious at this point. His campaign is in turmoil. They were so unprepared for this significant momentum shift.
Mika, I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, the Philadelphia event, I remember when that first came out, it seems like 2 weeks ago, doesn't it? And you saw it was so huge. And then the Wisconsin seemed to be even bigger. Detroit was mammoth. Then Glendale reports of 15,000 people there, more than Barack Obama had in his 2008 campaign. And then the Vegas show last night. And let's just say what it is. These have transcended politics and gotten into popular culture. They just have. It's something that we've talked about before. We talked about with Barack Obama. We talked about how it happened in 1980 with Ronald Reagan. But you have people talking about these things like they're rock shows.
Fight for it. And that's what this campaign is about. This campaign is about a recognition that, frankly, over the last several years, there's been this kind of perversion that has taken place, I think, which is to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, when what we know is the real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what we see as strength. We know what strength looks like. That's what strength looks like. Anybody who's about beating down other people is a coward. This is what strength looks like.
And as far as indicators go, when Fox News of all places are turning away from you as the Republican at the head of the ticket, is there any way back?
Net, I think that this was an incredibly good day for Kamala. She was able to introduce herself to the American public in a way that she hadn't before. And you take the contrast of yesterday. So you had President Trump, someone who grew up a millionaire, became a billionaire, standing in front of his golf club, ranting and raving about everything, lying about everything from, GDP rates to poverty rates to energy production, et cetera. And then you have Kamala Harris, someone who's talking about her middle-class upbringing, the fact that her family rented throughout their lives, so she knows what it means for people out there who can't get on the property ladder. Someone who worked at McDonald's through college. You couldn't have the starker juxtaposition between these two candidates. And then on top of it, she's saying to people, I feel your pain. I know how much things cost. You know what I want to do? I want to build 3 million new housing units. You know what I want to do? I want to cap prescription drug prices for everyone, not just Medicare recipients. I mean, yesterday, we didn't get to talk about it because of the Trump press conference, but because Medicare is negotiating drug prices, seniors will get to keep $6 billion of their dollars. That's $1.5 billion in out-of-pocket costs that will be saved because of the policies from the Biden-Harris administration. And that's what today is about regular people getting to keep more of their money.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.